What's going on, my fellow kinolords? So first of all, huge apologies for recording this review while driving. I have a stacked Christmas morning, and I don't really see any time where I'm going to be comfortable and not be doing something to do this review. So I figured I have some mileage in between destinations to talk about Nosferatu. Not the way I wanted it, but I want to get this review out to you guys and not wait an extra day to get it out. First of all, Merry Christmas to everybody out there, to all my kinolords. I hope everybody's year was fantastic. I hope everybody's Christmas has been great. And not as dark and as fucked up as Nosferatu was. But anyway, yeah, so Nosferatu. This was a movie that I think, I'm not alone in saying that this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Like, this was a lot of people's most anticipated movie of the year, rightfully so. It's Robert Eggers back at it again, doing his own adaptation of a gothic tale as old as time. How could you not be excited about this movie? And it's finally here. I caught a Dolby screening of it, which was awesome. I highly recommend. Those seats were rumbling throughout the entire experience, and I couldn't get enough of it. But yeah, so after watching Nosferatu, how do I feel about this movie as a whole? And again, was really hyped for it. So obviously, the bar is going to be set pretty high. I've loved Eggers' work all the way up until this point. The Witch, The Lighthouse, Northman, love all those films to death. And after coming out of Nosferatu, it's a really great movie. There was no way I was going to sit in front of this camera and not say that this was a great movie, right? It's like a Shocker on Shock Street. I think this is a great movie. You go in, everybody goes in and they come out with exactly what they would want out of this movie. What I personally love about Eggers is his ability to craft these incredibly intense and immersive atmospheres of dread. And this movie has that tenfold. Sequences in this movie that are so engrossing, so enthralling, unsettling. There's a lot of shots in this movie that just really stick with you, just stapled into my mind. There's one shot in particular involving Count Orlok's carriage to come pick the main character up to take him to the castle. That sequence, breathtaking. It is darkly breathtaking, and I really, really loved it. But that's just one of a handful, but that was probably one of my favorite sequences in the movie, personally. And again, I think overall, what you want out of this movie is what you get. And I think I'm not alone in saying that what we want out of Eggers is that atmospheric craft and his ability to really immerse the audience into these incredibly dark and gothic worlds, and you get that exactly with this movie. The cast all around I think is great. Nicholas Hoult, Willem Dafoe as basically Van Helsing, he is so good. I feel like I'm saying the obvious with that. There's no way that you're gonna watch a Willem Dafoe performance and just not love it. And he's really good here. Brings a sense of zaniness to the and humor to the film, but without going overboard. But still adding so much charisma and character on screen. And Lily Rose Depp was really great too. Honestly, I don't think I've ever really seen her in much, but she's actually really good in this movie. Here's what I'll say about her performance. When it comes to her horror performance, just her ability to really act out these really petrified moments, I think she is really, really great. There's a whole possession, exorcism type scene in this movie, and just the way that she is portraying like this sense of being overcome with emotion, being absorbed by the kind of like hypnotic and seductive power of Count Orlok. Like, she really, I think, knocks that out of the park. One thing I will say though, and I don't think this is her fault at all, I think this is actually more of like a writing and directing thing, is that she has a few monologues in the movie. And like, there was one like early on where she's like describing a dream that she had, and there's like another one where she's talking about, she's trying to describe this feeling that she has to a friend that she can't, like, she's trying to describe this feeling that she has to a friend about, that she can't really put her finger on. I'll just say that. And to me personally, and again, this might be a personal thing, but it was a bit theatrical. Like, it was a little bit too theatrical for my liking. A little bit too much of a mouthful here and there. So when it comes to those moments, like, I was a little bit disappointed, but her acting overall, and again, her overall like horror performance, I think was really, really great. And then you have Skarsgård as Nosferatu. He's menacing as hell, and he is so good. And again, it's I think he had a lot of help as well, not only like with the makeup and effects and everything like that, but with the use of sound. Because the use of sound with Count Orlok's character, it's just like, it's so absorbing, just because of the delicacy behind the sound design. Like, it feels so enthralling, and it feels so like deep and impactful when you hear it. And that is hugely because of the sound design that went into his voice. And I think it was really great. And again, I think what stands out about this movie the most is the use of sound, is Robert Eggers' creative and atmospheric direction, just these sequences that flow and feel, again, just so like mesmerizing. You feel so immersed into this incredibly these incredibly unsettling moments, and it's just all there. And I mean, what I will say about this movie in terms of criticisms is that I think it's my least favorite Robert Eggers movie. And I know that's probably not saying that much to everybody because he has set such a high bar. But I think that I have more issues with this one than I do with any of his other movies. The first one's not really his fault, which is the fact that since it is like a retreading and not a remake, but like another adaptation of the Nosferatu story that we've gotten many, many times already, whether it be like the original one from 1922 or the one from Werner Herzog in the 70s, or even the one the Coppola one. I mean, technically that's not Nosferatu, Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it draws a lot of similarities, and it's just not, in comparison to Robert Eggers' previous works, by its own nature, it's not going to be the most original one. It's not going to be the most fresh or inventive one. And I think that's something that I like. I kind of not wanted out of it, but I think I wanted maybe a little bit more of his own touches and his own spin conceptually on it, but we don't necessarily get that. It's basically just, I mean, we get like little differences here and there, but nothing too significant. It's basically just a very well executed and a bit by the book, like very true to its source material Nosferatu movie. And it's really good for that. It's really good. It's just, they'll go into this movie really expecting something like bold and daring in terms of doing something different with the story. It's very again, like loyal to the source material. again, maybe it's a me thing. Like, maybe that just bothered me just a little bit, but when I mean, even like, you can say what you want about like Bram Stoker's Dracula from Coppola, but that movie is so, like, you can tell Coppola's doing his own thing. It's drenched with his own, like, kind of campy personality. He's doing all kinds of things with it. I know it's not exactly the same story, but it's, to me, it's in the same vein. And this one isn't necessarily that. I mean, you can tell it's Robert Eggers, but it's not necessarily like, again, like, absolutely dripping in personality. But that's one, and it's not really even a fair criticism, I don't think. I just thought I would mention it. But beyond that, there are things about this movie that I feel like a little bit unsure about. One of them is actually like the Nosferatu design. I'm not sure how everybody else is gonna feel about that exactly, and maybe I'm just being like an asshole about it, but I just don't know exactly how to feel. Like, to me, it feels like something you would expect, like a 2020 horror film to design Nosferatu. Personally, I think my favorite design is the Werner Herzog one. It feels very classic, but still very, like, unsettling and weird. Here, he feels like it's effective, but you feel, I don't know, it just feels like he's, like, it's just a monster movie in a way. And he also kind of has, like, this porn stash, which I don't know exactly how to feel about it. I don't know. I feel weird about it. So I felt like I just feel on the fence about it a little bit. And also, the last line of the movie, I was on the fence about too, because it's basically like a quick narration of what we just saw, right? Like, it's basically Defoe's character through narration explaining, like, through voiceover explaining what just happened in the finale. And I was like, do we really need that? Like, it seems very obvious. We don't need an explanation. But at the same time, it does feel very gothic folktale-like. Like, it feels like it's staying very true to what a gothic folk horror, like what the gothic folk horror style is. And I like that about it. So it also kind of feels like it's paying homage to the original Nosferatus as well with it. So I think I like it more than I dislike it. It just took me a little bit to think of, like, to kind of think on it and reflect about it. But really, I don't know, guys. I mean, I guess one other thing I could say about it is that prepare for jump scares. This movie has a lot more jump scares than I thought, but they're all, like, fair and honest ones. At least the ones that I can remember. Like, they all feel like they're earned and not the most predictable. And it kind of makes it feel more lively and fun as well. And maybe that was a studio thing. I don't know. Maybe they, like, encouraged him to have more of those, like, conventional jump scares. But it didn't really bother me. Again, I kind of dug it. So just be prepared for that when going in. But I think that's really all I gotta say about it. Again, I apologize for driving around and talking about it, but I just really wanted to get this review out to you guys as fast as I could. I think it's a great movie. It's my least favorite Eggers, but it's still a great movie. So I'll give Robert Eggers' adaptation of Nosferatu a soft to solid 8 out of 10. It's a movie I definitely want to check out again, though. Definitely want to check it out again in Dolby before it leaves theaters. So now that I have AMC A-list, it's not a hassle at all. So, but that's it, guys. Again, Merry Christmas. Everybody stay safe. I hope everybody's holidays and New Year's is great and filled with joy. And that's about it. Thank you so much, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed what I had to say, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.